Yes, we can. We can hear you perfectly. Yes, we can. Very good. Very well.
Que no estoy segura.
Just making sure.
Sí, te escuchas bien.
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Listo, súper, súper.
Great.
Estaba ahí como probando.
I was just testing.
Listo, bueno, yo creo que
And I believe we're all set to begin. Carlos, do you agree? Yes, Natalie.
listo de una. Bueno, entonces
Very
permítame
well. So just allow
compartir
me
aquí la pantalla de
to
mi
share my
computador.
screen. Give me a second.
Listo.
Okay, we're all set.
Creo que ahí están viendo mi pantalla,
I
¿cierto?
think you all see my screen, right?
Yes, we can see it.
Listo. Gracias, Mariel. Thank you. Bueno, entonces, primero que todo, pues bienvenidos a
Very well.
todos.
First of all, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for connecting today in the second training we will have regarding SIAR. The first one was last year, and what we want is to generate new material and updated material that we will also post in the SIAR website. So just to keep you up to date of how the topics are evolving with the system. So today the training will be divided in two parts. The first part I'll speak. In the first part, it will be very much as an introduction to recall the basis of SIAR, how the idea came about, how it works, how we arrived to the new administration, updating the system, so on and so forth. So it's going to be an introduction, and it's always good to bring these things to your memory. And the second part is going to be in behalf of the OT, Representative Carlos, who will be showing live and full color in the platform, how it works, how it generates a warning, how the events come up, news feed, and there is some custom reports you can also produce. So the second part is going to be a little more practical. And as I said, it's going to be in hands of our engineer, Carlos. So without further ado, I'm Nate Rojas. I'm part of the Consumer Protection delegation. So I'll guide you in this third part of the training, which is, as I said, an introduction. So for today's training, our agenda is as follows. The first part is a very general overview of what is SIAR. And then we'll go and see the basis and origin of SIAR, how we arrived to this need of a new administration and an update of the system. And then I'll refer to the use and benefits of this new SIAR that we call SIAR 2.0. I'll also be speaking about uh, very cool exercise, very interesting. We've been forwarding since last year, which is the idea of synchronizing SIAR with other product safety portals. And the last part, which will be in hands of Carlos, which is the visualization of the new SIAR system live and how it works. So just to remind everyone, I know you're all familiar with the system, but CR basically is the central element of the network of uh, safety and health consumption, RCSE, and as part of OAS, what it seeks is to, with this tool, is precisely to centralize all the alerts generated by each one of our authorities on consumer protection and product safety in the region of the countries that are member of OAS, and thus guarantee the safety of the consumption products and its circulation in the markets of the region, with the purpose of allowing us as agencies of member states to adopt the much more effective measures, more coordinated, more proactive, always pursuing consumers protection and preventing these hazardous products, unsafe products from circulating in our markets. So in that order of ideas, the purpose of SIAR, the objective of creating this tool is for this to be a hemispheric system for the Americas integrated for the generation, management, and exchange of information on alerts to all the authorities on the product consumption and safety. In that same order, the use or utility of SIAD is as a central element and as pillar of our CSS to allow and offer member countries a collaborative workspace through which we promote interinstitutional work under this umbrella or this umbrella of the consumer protection and product safety. And what gives more effectiveness to the system is that it's a space that allows a safe exchange between all the members. So we'll always have this information as members handy, and this will allow us to, as I said, take much more proactive and effective measures, much more focused in our protection work in product is safety. And we continue with the origin of SIAD and how this need came about for a new administration. Well, and very quickly, I don't want to dwell on this, but we all know that this idea or this need of the network safe consumption comes from a resolution of the OAS General Assembly. It was a process. There was a number of resolutions that were generated in 2009 that gave them birth to the RCSS, which is to which CR is part of. And a year later, in 2010, there's a group of experts and advisors were integrated to start developing this system of product alert. And that's where 4 years after the work started to create this project, well, there's the launching of what we know the first version of the Inter-American Quick Alert System, SIAR. This was launched in 2014 during a meeting of the Permanent Council of OAS. And for some years during that time, it was working very well, and, and the countries were using it. But then goes to 2018, 2019, the need comes to have a new CR administrator. And for that moment is when the Superintendency of Industry and Trade takes over the administration of this new system. And as administrators of the new system, over time, we were assessing the need to update it, to keep it at the forefront of these new technologies that advance very quickly. And obviously, as authorities, we are have to have the capacity. We don't have the capacity to adopt our technologies to the same speed they are, but to update the system, make it much user friendly, especially easier to use in behalf of the authorities and their designated officials who are the ones that upload these alerts in the system. So we started a process to first continue with the administration and then to update the system. And it's then when in 2021 there's a new agreement signed between the OAS Secretariat and the Trade and Industry Office in Colombia to start this updating of the system and make it, as I said, much more user friendly, dynamic, easier to use, integrate many more functionalities that we'll also see going forward. And finally, this new version of SIAR, which we call CR 2.0, we launched in the plenary meeting of the RCSS of OAS in the 2021 version. And since then, we've been very committed to continue that improvement of the system, always willing to receive any feedback to know what works, what does not work. And at this moment, allow me to give a little commercial. I know our communications team and the RCSS, where Chile and Dominican Republic have been working very strongly. They already circulated again the SIAR survey. My invitation is first for you to disseminate, to complete it. Is very important. The survey not only for the communications group, but for us as SIAD administrators to receive all that feedback, to receive your comments, because this is the input we need and the basis that helps us improve continuously the system for it to be much better, easier, more efficient. So, so I invite all of you, and if I'm not mistaken, the due date for the survey was extended. It was to finish today, but it was extended an additional week. So the invitation is for everyone to share it, to complete it, and please send all your recommendations, comments, observations for us to continue in our continuous improvement of the system. Very well. This is the use and benefits of the new system. As I said, we wanted this not only to be a portal where all the campaigns are recorded and recalls, but for it to have other functionalities that make it much more dynamic. The sites that allows to query alerts, which is the spirit and the reason for the system. We also want to include other things such as a query of news. There's also a process that Carlos will be sharing regarding that, which is to post news. There's also a space that allows to see courses, workshops, trainings. And if I'm not mistaken, the training will be recorded, and we'll upload this in the CR platform for everyone to have access to this. Sometimes you can't connect, but you will be able to see the training later since it's recorded for everyone to have the information. Also, the new system offers general information regarding what the network of safe consumption and health is, or CSS, where it comes from, what's the purpose, general information regarding CIAR, what CIAR is, how it works. So it provides an array of options. It also has an event calendar, and I invite you
Sé que hay una iniciativa desde el grupo de
to
comunicación
feed that calendar. I know there's an initiative from the communications team, the same way that we fill information for the bulletin network to also have a form with the events of each authority. So I believe we can also add this initiative to feed the CIAD events calendar and to know what our counterparts are doing in product safety. We also have an atlas for safe consumption and health. Carlos will be referring to that. And as I said initially, there's an option which I believe is very useful for our purposes. There's an option on customized reports. There's another part where we can find documents of interest, such as reports from different working groups of the network. In general, all documents that are of interest to everyone. The idea is to have this system well nourished, to give a lot of information, not only about alerts, which is very important, but also news, documents, reports, to make the system as nourished as possible. That's why I reiterate the comments you send us through the survey are highly. And now to share a bit about synchronization with other portals. Well, this exercise we are now doing is quite recent. It started at the end of last year. We've been working on this synchronization exercise with other portals, but right now we're in the exercise of synchronizing with the portal, which is the OECD portal. So all this initiative comes from a webinar that was held by the strategic partnership group called General Panorama of Product Safety Portals. I think this webinar, several had the opportunity to be part of, was very valuable, enriching. This was in 2022 with the participation of a representative of the European community, a representative in charge of the safety gate, which is the product safety portal of the European community. We also had participation of an OECD representative who is in charge of managing the global recalls portal, which is similar to the SIAR, but of the OECD. And after that webinar, we were able to create a much closer relationship with our OECD peers center and with OECD, we met with the technical teams. We are discussing synchronization. We agreed that we would take some steps, we would follow some steps. So currently, we're in our first phase of synchronization. And just to share very quickly, this synchronization will be divided into parts. The first phase, which is testing, and the second phase is the implementation. So we are in the first phase of testing, where we're all doing everything in a testing environment to identify any challenges, anything that could go wrong in that synchronization. In this testing environment, we realized that there could be a case that some warnings that come from OECDs when they migrate to CR are replicated, because there are some countries and that report to both systems. So all this testing environment allows us to identify that we have to create a filter for when the migration is done, for these warnings to not be replicated, not be duplicated. So as you can see, since the end of last year and this year, we've been able to migrate close to 800 warnings from the CR portal to the OECD portal. We are on looking forward to a second testing exercise with OECD. We're just waiting for their confirmation to carry out that second migration, and later we'll be going on to the implementation phase. This is a lengthy process. It's very technical, but I did want to share that we are in the middle of that exercise. We've had some successful test, and we continue with that task of synchronization between both portals that in different ways is a way to promoting that interinstitutional cooperation, and also between organizations around the world in product safety. Without further ado, I want to give the floor to Carlos, but this image is for you to see how the new SIAR looks like. But SIAR will show you live how it looks, how it works, and for anyone who wants to follow this exercise live while Carlos is showing on screen, you can copy in your computers. This is a foolproof, so if you want to follow live, uh, I'm sure in the URL to visit SIAR, and I'll also post it in the chat. And for whoever wants to follow the exercise in your cell phone, you can scan the QR code on your screen, and this will redirect you to the SIAR website. So thank you very much, everyone, for your attention once again. Thank you for connecting, and we are at your disposal for any question. I'm sure we can entertain questions at the end. And now Carlos, for him to show us right in the system how it works. So Carlos, the floor is yours.
Hola Natalie, muchas gracias.
Well, Natalie, thank you very much.
Me presento Carlos Sarmiento.
And I'm Carlos Sarmiento. I am from the beginning of SIAR Phase 2. We started this process since 2019. During pandemic, we worked very hard, and towards the end of 2021, we deployed and the production, as Natalie said initially, the idea of SIAR, was, although it was an agreement that was created between OAS and superintendency. We also had the opportunity to improve not only user interface, but also technical features. As you know, this agreement, I believe it has 4 or 5 years and more. And when we received the product, the web tool, we we learned it was a tool that had several years. It had no support. The tools that it was using were obsolete. So we then, and additional to that, these were licensed tools. They were in an OAS server. So we took advantage of that to update it and also to guide them towards free software. We don't know in the future what is the next country, it could be Colombia, or the country who will administrate SIAR. So with this change, the country that deploys or hosts this tool will not have to pay licensing for the software in any case. We don't know about the infrastructure or deployment, but as far as software, it's based on free software with known uh, cloud and with international support. So we take advantage of this moment to update it. And for the countries to not have to deal with licensing issues of the current update. So you can visit directly from OAS, but you can also do it from Google. SIAR is here. Well, sometimes it's third, sometimes it's fifth. In any case, we're trying to higher level of search, increase the search level. In OAS appears that's the first option, and it takes you to the quick alert system. And if you want to visit the portal directly, just click on that. Or I invite you with this address in your portals. You can also redirect this to OAS. We would like to invite you because this portal is yours. We invite you for you to enter more information, to update information. Logically, it contains the warnings, but it's yours and it requires your help. I took a moment to review the warnings, and these are that are not identified. When there was a migration process, it didn't have the countries, but we did check the number one in reporting warnings is the US, a very big difference with the rest of the country. So we invite you once again to enter your alerts or warning. So we also invite you to the last part Natalie said, which is the integration of CR with your systems. US is the highest reporting country because we also consume their service. It's not OECD, it's their service, which is this one here, the CPSC. We have direct communication with them through a web service. And every Tuesday and Thursday, we consume that service and it's stored directly or automatically. So this makes that they don't have to enter their warnings. It just consumed and it's much quicker. And we have live synchronization of this type of warning. So we invite you not only for you to enter your alerts, but also if you have systems and if you can have the technological capability to integrate with us, we are open to hold a meeting or to have an appointment, to have direct communication with your systems. So we invite you to do that. The initial website or the initial page in SIAR, we wanted to focus on alerts, on news, and to events. To what is SIAR means. In the past, the portal had a state, but we wanted to focus more on images. Images tell more, they're more explicit. We wanted to focus on the initial portal, on the images you can see. You can see the first 10 uh, alerts. Additionally, if you want all the warnings, there's a button for more warnings, and you'll receive all those in a chronological order. You can see it's a US every 2 days. We're updating with them. You see a number of alerts. You can see all the different pages. You can look at all the pages, and you can also filter and search by region, America, the regions. You can search by language, by categories. This is one of the most used by notifying country, the type of measure. We know it's different between notifying country and origin country of the product. The risk level, and the suppliers or vendors. So we have these filters. We have these alerts. And then they're organized in a chronological form from the oldest to the new one. So we have to update that. We invite you once again. These are the alerts for all the countries with the information. Once again, it's basic. With the US, we don't use all the fields. Why? Well, because many attributes or many characteristics do not is not in the service, but we try to obtain the category, the country, uh, origin country of the product, and details of the alert. The risks and additional information. This is the Chile alert. You can see it's complete, very well detailed, because when you enter the alert in the system, and we'll see that, we there are some mandatory fields that must be completed. With the US, you can see the category is not there. It has, it had the category, now it doesn't. Risk, type of measures, it doesn't include that. So these fields, or these attributes are blank. But for our case, to enter an alert, if we do it manually, this alert must, or this field is a mandatory field. Additionally, for you to, you can, through Twitter, you can also share or send the alert, or you can also do it via Facebook, or there's a link that says that the link was copied for you to paste this link wherever with the specific alert. As I said, you can do it through social media. And then if we go to main page.
Si vamos al inicio,
It's in the main
vamos también
page.
noticias.
You'll see news.
La última fue
The
noviembre
last
del año
one
pasado.
was November of last year.
Requerimos de su ayuda
So this is why we
para
require
este
your
ingreso
help
de
to
documentos, noticias.
enter these type of documents, news. You can see
Pueden
images here.
compartir documentos.
You can share documents.
Tratamos de compartir los
We
documentos
try to share
tanto en inglés como en
documents in English as well as in Spanish.
Siempre
So
aquí está en español
here
y
it's in Spanish.
aquí está en inglés. Tratamos de
Here
compartir
it's in English. So we try to share this
de
news
forma
in a
multilingüe. Entonces,
multi-language
nuevamente,
format.
cualquier noticia que ustedes
So
tengan,
any news you have, we can
y
share
los
it here.
eventos también
And
tenemos
any additional events,
aquí para
you have events here
compartir.
to share. This is an event carried out in
2019,
November of 2019, and we need your help to share and create new events.
Cuando una persona que no está autenticada, que
When a
no
person is not authenticated, does not have a user,
una persona
and a common
a
user, someone who wants to visit the SIAR website, it'll show the main page and also show a library where it has documents that have been published. All the here's a user's manual. This entity sent us a publication, which is the international workshop on product safety. You can share links.
Entonces, le salen todas las
So
publicaciones.
here you can see all the publications.
Esto no necesita autenticación.
This does not require authentication. Any person can do it. This document on publications. This is what we call anonymous user. When it's a user who is not authenticated, there's a code on injuries, to the code we have for injuries. And one moment,
Unos directorios.
some directories by country
Está el directorio, por ejemplo,
in this directory.
Colombia.
Colombia,
Hay que revisar esta partecita de directorio.
this part on the directory is there.
Hay que revisar esta parte. Porque
Checking this
aquí
part here,
están todas
because here you can see all the
entidades
entities
por la seguridad de productos.
that oversee
Y
product
al
safety.
tenemos Natalie, la parte del
And we have, as Natalie mentioned, we have the atlas by
todas las leyes, todo el
country,
marco
all the laws, all the institutional and regulatory framework
las leyes que
of the
abarcan
laws
realmente la seguridad de
that cover product safety
Se
by
puede comparar, tenemos
country. These can be compared. In this tool,
comparar en los
where we
marcos
can compare the institutional frameworks between countries with this
de consumo
atlas
salud.
on safe
Esta es una matriz
consumption and health. This is a
de países y sus
comparison
y
matrix
sus leyes.
between countries and
Y
their
por último
laws.
están toda la parte
And
de
finally, we have the part on events.
se pueden ver los eventos, que fue lo que
You
vimos
see
y
events,
tenemos un
and we also have this global
normalmente si hay
calendar.
actividades
If there are any activities or
de de los eventos
of the events, you will be able to see them in the calendar. At this moment, there are no scheduled activities or events, and
acá en el
you would be able to see all the events in this calendar.
Y por último, fortalecimiento
And finally,
institucional
institutional training. This includes all courses, workshops.
no hemos actualizado del
You can see we have not updated since 2015 any course. These are all the courses. They could be connect, they can be updated. That's why we need your help in this tool. Additional to this, we can see the different countries. This website is multi-language.
Aquí están las alertas en inglés.
Here are the alerts in
Hay que
English.
ser aquí muy preciso en
Here you have to be
el
very
lenguaje, es para la parte de
precise as
los
far
tipos,
as
los tipos,
what language
los
for
los atributos,
alerts, labels, the
esta
names
información que
for the
está
different fields. But this
es
information
indicada
here
cuando es indicada por
is
ustedes,
entered by
ustedes
you.
entran
You are the ones who
en el idioma
enter this information,
normalmente nativo.
usually
Entonces,
your native language.
que está ingresado aquí no se traduce.
So this that is here is not translated.
Aparecen todas las etiquetas,
All the rest of the
todos los
labels
labels y todos los
are
los
entered,
títulos.
and all the different
Todo esto está en inglés.
titles, and all that is in English. The alerts,
Sí, toda la parte que se digita,
everything that
la
is
parte que se selecciona
entered
está en español.
is in Spanish.
Hablo de lo que
When
se
I
selecciona,
refer to what is selected,
ejemplo,
that is
si yo
generally
selecciono
if I select, for instance, a risk
tipo de riesgo, por
or a
ejemplo,
type of risk.
sale en inglés,
For instance, here it is in
sale
English.
en inglés. Esta parte que son seleccionadas me sale
This
en
part
el
that is
idioma que
selected,
yo
you'll see
seleccioné, por
in the
ejemplo.
language I selected.
Vamos acá, como lo estaba mostrando aquí. Tipo de riesgo, por ejemplo, aquí ya sale el tipo de
Type,
medida, ya sale
you can see the type
francés.
of
Tipo de
measure
riesgo también
is
sale
in
en francés.
French and type of
La
risk
información que es digitada
also in French.
manualmente,
The information that is entered
seleccionada,
manually,
sí sale en el
not
idioma
selected,
que
will be
ustedes lo
in
ingresaron.
the language you
Entonces, para
entered it,
eso
or the
tengan
original
en
language
cuenta esta parte.
that was entered, for you to consider that.
Cuando usted quiere ingresar, si usted quiere ingresar
Whenever
a la
you want
cuenta,
to
usted
log in
a través
to the account through the
me
network,
envían un correo,
you send an email.
me lo reenvían a mí,
The email then redirected to me, OAS, and I assign a user.
que
These
son solicitados
users
previamente.
are
Normalmente
requested
tiene un
in
autorizado o
advance.
algo,
The tool does not have a
bastante controlado.
self-registration because these users
Estos
are
yo los
controlled
introdujo,
users. So I'm the one who enters these users.
los campos son básicos,
These are basic fields:
nombres, apellidos, el país y el email.
name, surname,
Normalmente
country,
yo
email.
envío la invitación
And
dependiendo
I send the
del
invitation
idioma que ustedes
depending on the language.
reenviar aquí.
I want to resend.
Reenviar. Y si yo
So
quiero
if you
reenviarles
resend, if I want to resend the invitation,
el idioma
I
que
choose
ya ustedes con
the
el idioma
language,
normalmente sugerido.
and then we go to the suggested
Nosotros
language.
tener más
We
usuarios.
do expect to have more
El
users.
último usuario que yo creé,
The last user I created was at the beginning of last year. It was a little strange. So this year and last part of last year, no new user has requested a registration. So we need to make this more massive. We are still waiting for new users. We hope that more users register or request. So when I log in, if I go to alert management,
Cuando yo ingreso una alerta aquí, nuevo ítem,
there is, here's where I enter an alert.
yo porque tengo usuario
And since I have
administrador,
administrator user,
esta región.
uh,
Pero ustedes le salen
it calls
automáticamente.
for a region, but in your case, you'll see it
Ustedes
automatically. You'll see the country. So the region, as well as notifying country, it will be pre-selected.
La idea es que únicamente
Well, because the idea is for you to
alertas del país
enter alerts of the country
previamente en el usuario.
that was previously configured in
Entonces,
your user.
normalmente a mí porque
So
yo soy administrador,
since I'm the administrator,
cualquier alerta o modificar cualquier alerta que
I
ustedes
can create any alert or modify any alert
previamente.
that you
Entonces,
entered
seleccionan la
previously.
categoría,
So here you choose the category.
cuando
As I was saying, When I choose the category, this category can be chosen in the language I selected. This moment, in this case, it's in Spanish. We change it to English. Now you see in English, so category, it will show it in the language you chose. And these fields that have the star are fields that are mandatory fields. The system, when I save, will show that these are obligatory fields. And it has like a dual verification. It notifies here and also in each field, which are the country of origin of the product. I can choose more than one country. I can choose more than one country as product origin. We have seen their products have many countries as an origin. This URL here, it's source. I've seen is Chile, from El Salvador, Peru. Enter this URL with the that direct to the tool of each country. So I invite you, since you have these tools, let's try to find ways to communicate, to have the integration. This interaction would give us two advantages. The first one is that it simplifies your alert registration. And the second advantage is that we'll be much more active and online with you, and the alerts will have more effects. That's why I asked you to think about this, the date of publication of the alert, the risk level, and this is also mandatory, which is the images. Images are mandatory. These are required to be able to see the images, so we can add many images. Product description. It's a product name is mandatory, and also the name and description of the product are obligatory. Also, the brand of the product, the units, all these. If you paid attention in the Chile alert, all of this information is not obligatory. They still fill it in. So they're the importer, distributor, they include that additionally, although it's not a mandatory field. So the invitation is, if you enter your alert, go ahead and enter as many sub values as possible. This description of the defect must be entered, risk regardless of the notifying country and the type of measure. And we have additional information of the product. You can enter other resources. This means you can enter the PDF. If you have additional information for the product, you can add that. Since I filled all mandatory fields, then I will have to erase this alert. But if we go to SIAR alerts,
Entonces, yo puedo, por ejemplo,
so I can edit the alert.
editar la alerta.
Edit alert.
Alerts. Sincronización. Alerts management. Enter. Estos son parámetros de alerta. Entonces, Yo puedo editar cualquier alerta.
So I can edit any alert. You can also edit your alert depending on the country. So you can enter or regardless of the country. Sorry. You can edit the alerts uh, only of your country. And there's 3 users that we gave. Uh, Only 3 users in Chile can edit all the alerts for that country. So regardless of if the user one entered the alert, you can also edit the alert for user two in Chile. That can be done. Something I would like to show you is alert synchronization with the US, just to show you how simple it is. Last time it synchronized was at midnight, and this is a mass process. In other words, this is being done every day. I said it was 2 days, but every day at noon, the alerts are being synchronized. And there were some issues in this case. The country Ireland couldn't find it. So what do we do then? Well, we have some categories that at this moment are not synchronizing because the US stopped sending the categories, but we do synchronize countries. It's saying that Ireland, in this case, is the country that didn't find the category. So I do a new record. I enter the country Ireland and I match it with our country and I save. Then I go to the US and I could resynchronize. So we resynchronize and it told me you synchronize with no problem. If we go to the alert, here you can see this was the alert that had not been synchronized. So this is the alert that had not been synchronized because a country origin country of that product, US, Mexico, and Ireland, could not find it. So now I synchronized. So I must be checking. I do this checking every 2 days of the alerts that did not synchronize. I check because here it says everything gives me all the history of the alerts that were presented. You can see that one day alerts in synchronized. For instance, yesterday there was no alert data, or the day before that. The last day there was an alert was June 23rd from the US. So there's no problem with there. So this it connects with their service. We also invite you to deliver your web service or share web service where we can connect and thus get your alerts much more updated. This is for alert updating. You have something else called private document, and this is only given to users that countries have one user authenticated. So we take this here, on February 4th of this year. This is a dictionary of the concepts on the risks, and we are displaying this in a tool, but only because it's of your interest. This is not of interest to the general public, so it's not as public documents, but as private documents. This part on a private document. Another thing you have for documents, such as the vendor historical information, or is supplier historical information. And this should be structured or re-evaluated. At this moment, there are some vendors, it's only 6 vendors that have historical data on contacts in the website, where these are the measures of and contact information for this type of vendor. But in the future, since you're from the network, you should check and see if that functionality should be kept or not be kept. If we should eliminate that information, reevaluate, update. So for that reason, it's not only for you to enter alert, but we want you to see and check all the functionalities we have to see if something is not required. If someone has a new idea that we want to implement in SIAR, we can do that. So that's my invitation in management, news management, to add news. Currently, to add news, we have this, and also communications group has this, to add this type of news, title, summary, heading, publication date, which are the countries of news, links, annex, images. You can add PDF attachments and images, links. Generally, you are uploading videos to the network. So what we are doing is in YouTube or something, then we upload that link, and we're not limiting this only to one type of information. We're diversifying the information for use management. And additionally, for events and courses, we'll be doing that going forward. Something I want to show you, which is very important. It's this here, where we have a customized reports. Here I'm showing there's not just one type of report uh, that is already custom made for each country. So we wanted to, instead of that, provide a tool that will offer the way to generate dynamic reports, like an Excel dynamic table. Here we can include bars, graphics by level of risk or by type of alert. We can customize all this. We can generate, for instance, if I want the table, but in the table, I want to see a count, or if I want to see a sum, or if I want to see a minimum. So we have close to 15 types of reports or ways to see the information. We can do it by countries. Here's the minimum. You can do it by a count, a minimum amount. You can see it by the amount of quantity of alerts, and also shows us these are the alerts that don't have a country. These also serve us, we can export this information. We can export this table to Excel. You can see the tables. The tables can be exported. So this is one of the very important functionalities of the SIAR. Another functionality I want to show you is that SIAR
responsive, es decir, se puede ver
SURL
en cualquier dispositivo. Se pueden verlo acá.
responsive. It could be seen
Se pueden
in
ver
any
aquí
type of device.
las bibliotecas. Vamos a ver aquí los documentos
See
y
the
filtros.
libraries,
Los filtros están
documents,
en la parte inferior.
publications,
Ustedes
filters
los
are on
pueden
top,
navegar de esta manera.
so you
Entonces
can
aquí tenemos todo
visualize
lo que
this
son
way. Uh,
nosotros,
we have the whole
Superintendencia
SIAR,
de Comercio,
we as Superintendency of Trade
estamos
and
siempre checando
Industry, we
que
are
la base de
always
datos que esté
uh,
actualizada,
checking, making sure the
tratamos,
database
tratamos
is updated.
de que los servidores siempre
We are always making
estén
sure that the servers are
mostrados.
being
Si de
maintained.
pronto
If,
hay más cosas que hacer,
for instance, there's something else to do,
si hay algún error que usted
if
vea
there's
en el
any
reporte,
mistake
nosotros
you see in the
estamos
report,
prestos en la actualización no únicamente de infraestructura, sino
we are willing
cualquier
to
cambio que
update
pueda
not
haber.
only the infrastructure, but any change.
Cualquier
And
aspecto de que
I
vamos
realized,
a
for
solicitar una
instance,
alerta por filtro,
that when I was
pues
searching for an alert by filter,
cronológico
eh, it gave
de la
me
más antigua
chronological order,
a
but
la
from the
actual.
oldest to the newest.
La actualización
So
de estos buques.
hopefully next week I'll have the
Los
update
que
of that
van a utilizar esta herramienta
from newest to
necesitamos
oldest.
de su ayuda para que
So we need your help for this to continue growing.
esta es nuestra
So
presentación.
this is our presentation regarding SIAR.
Preguntas de
So if
aquí.
you have any question, I'll be happy to entertain.
Bueno, Carlos, pues no, de
Well,
verdad,
Carlos, well,
muchísimas
thank you very
gracias.
much, Carlos.
Quisiera resaltar
And
muchas
I would
cosas
like to
que
highlight a
mencionabas
couple
y
of
admiro
things you
muchísimo tu pasión
mentioned.
porque
And I want
realmente
to
es una plataforma
emphasize the
para
fact that
nosotros
this is a
mejorar.
platform
Entonces,
for
el hecho
us
también que
as
ustedes también
authorities. So
aporten, les demos
as
esa información
the
y
more
pues
we
la hagamos
nourish,
de la manera
feed,
más
fill
completa
it with
posible,
information,
pues
make as
más
complete as
fácilmente para
possible,
nosotros
it will become much
somos los que les
more
ayudamos.
useful for us,
Entonces, pues
the
la invitación,
users.
como
So
ya
the
lo dijiste
invitation,
súper
as I
claramente,
said, and I've
no olviden
reiterated
mirar el
several
survey.
times,
Esto es un insumo
don't
súper
forget to
valioso
complete the
y
survey.
hagamos una
This
encuesta
is
para
very
poder
important
mejorar
for us.
todos estos
And through that
aspectos y que
survey, you
detecten
can
algún
send
error que
all
seguramente nos van a
any
encontrar siempre
inconvenience you find in
los
the
líderes
platform, and we're
especializados
always
de tipo
open and willing
y con
to
el
speak
equipo de
to
SAR
our
para siempre
team and
ayudar a
Carlos's
todos
team
quienes
to
quieran crear
correct
nuevos
those issues.
usuarios. Entiendo que
Who
ustedes
wants to
están
create a new
capacitados,
user? I know
están en
users
proceso,
change.
bueno,
There's a new person. The
tratando
idea
de
is to
identificar
try
primero
to
quiénes
use
quieren ser
generic
usuarios o
emails, but
quiénes
whoever
quieren
uses a new
una conexión
user or to update a
y
user,
comunicar
whatever you
con
need,
nosotros.
you can
Puede ser a mi correo
contact
o
us. You
directamente
can
a nuestra
contact
cuenta.
me in my
Igual
email,
los dejamos en el chat
Carlos's email. It's in the
donde
chat,
estamos dispuestos
and we have other emails to do that we also posted
es súper
in the
valioso
chat. So we're
que
always
nos hagan llegar
open for
observaciones
you to send
y pues
any
también si quisieran,
information.
estamos adelantando este ejercicio de
And we're
sincronización, la doctora
advancing this synchronization work with
con la CPSC para
OECD, and we have also synchronization
vemos
with CPSC. If you want
plataformas
to link your platforms with
y
SIAR,
obviamente
this is
para
also
mejorar.
possible, and this will help us
La plataforma
nourish our platform
y
much
nada,
more,
quizás
which is what we
estamos
want,
dispuestos a todo
and
lo que
always
podamos
open to anything you need.
pues
I
súper
hope
emocionados
this
para
training was
contarles
it was very clear by Carlos. So
actividad.
thank you very much, and I hope it was
Como
useful to you.
siempre
Remember
en la
to
página del CIAR. Ahora sí ya
always
la
query
moderadora.
the CR website once it's ready.
Estos
We'll
espacios de
be
verdad
sharing it.
como
So I hope you
estos
find these
encuentros para
opportunities very useful,
mejorar.
fruitful
Veo por ahí la
for the
palabra
work you do. I see
Daniela.
someone raised their
Daniela,
hand.
por favor,
Daniela, please go ahead,
tienes la
Daniela.
palabra.
You have the use
Sí,
of the
muchas
floor.
gracias Natalie y
Thank you
Carlos.
very much, Natalie and Carlos, for this presentation.
Simplemente reiterar
Not
el
only
llamado a todos los
reiterating
participantes
the
a realizar
invitation to everyone who is part of this
la
activity to
corresponsabilidad
please
de
answer
los
the
correos
survey. It's
en
available
nuestras
in
redes
the
sociales
emails, but it's also
y
in
cualquier
our
consulta que tengan
social
pueden
media.
también
And if you
dejarla
have
en
any
nuestro correo de
question
la red que
in
es
the house
biblioteca
or generic email,
el
it's also
correo de
there,
las redes sociales
or
donde podamos
the
manifestar
email of
inquietudes
social
para que en
media,
caso de
or
cualquier
the
consulta nos la puedan hacer
if
llegar
you have any
y
question, you
podamos
can
darle
send it
espacio a
to
algunas
that
aclaraciones y podamos
social
manifestar
media, and we can
el,
also
la
manage
satisfacción.
any improvement
Eso,
to
muchas
the
gracias
product.
por la
So thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you, Denny, and thank you everyone for your attendance. And I shared my email, and have a good day and goodbye. Thank you.